I'd like to show you what I call the perfect illusion. It's this yellow spot on this sheet of plastic. Now, it isn't literally perfect, but I call it the illusion of the yellow ball. Now, doesn't that just look solid? Now, you will all recall that first it was flat like that. Remember, first it was flat like that. And then it was the illusion. There it is, of the yellow ball. Watch the illusion of the yellow ball. Let me explain what happens. You see, I form this into a cone around my left index finger like this. Now, it is empty. Now, the only thing I have to be careful about, if that hole gets too large, obviously the ball can get out. I'm going to roll this into a tube instead of a cone. You can see that the ball is still in there. Now, if I put one hand over each end of the tube, we all know it is literally impossible for that ball to get out unless it is indeed flat like that. Now, let me explain what happens. You see, I form this into a cone like this, and we have the perfect illusion of the yellow ball. You know, when I was trying to figure out some way to vanish a rubber ball, I thought of having it go up my left sleeve. Obviously, that's not very practical. I thought of a very simple way to vanish a rubber ball. I discovered zone 0. No one ever thought of it before, apparently. Brought it here to show you. This is zone 0. Whatever goes through the hole into zone 0, it instantly vanishes. It's sort of like a functional black hole. You see, I can reach right in there and retrieve it. Now, I did research on this, and I discovered that ball doesn't actually vanish when it goes through the hole. Look, it's when I take my hand out that it's gone. I'm talking about totally, completely, absolutely gone, but always instantly retrievable. Zone 0. You know, besides being a magician, I'm also an inventor. I brought one of my inventions to show you here. I have it here in this manila envelope. Now, this is just a prototype. I made it out of a cracker box. Now, the advantage of a cracker box is that it will fold totally flat. Totally flat. And this cracker box also, as you can see, is totally empty. Now, if you were going to ship a rubber ball, you'd never dream of putting it in a cracker box. I mean, it doesn't make any sense at all. Let's say you had 100 rubber balls to ship. You'd never dream of putting each one of them in a cracker box. I mean, it would make a stack 20 feet high, and besides that, it would tumble over. But I've explained to you that in perfect package, it folds totally flat like that, totally flat. And the added advantage is you can put it in the manila envelope and take it down to the post office and mail it for 29 cents. Perfect package. You've heard of acupuncture where they push needles in you? Have you ever heard of acupressure? Now, some people think there are different pressure points treatment for disease. I don't believe in any of that, but let me show you what I've discovered. This is very amazing. Look, if I press right here for 3 seconds, that's the perfect treatment for anemia. Now, in anemia, you lack iron, right? This is far, far better because you get solid steel. Solid steel. This is an entirely different kind of a card trick. If you don't watch closely, I'll guarantee you'll miss it. I'm going to use 2 cards. Whenever you say stop, I'll use those 2 cards.
Stop.
In this particular case, you stop me at the 4 of diamonds and the 5 of clubs. 5 of clubs and 4 of diamonds. Fair enough? Would you hold out your hand for a little table? Watch. Actually, that wasn't very fair, was it? Because, I mean, you didn't know what to expect. Besides that, it could have come from my sleeves. Would you say stop again anytime you'd like?
Stop.
In this particular case, you stop me at the 7 of clubs and the ace of diamonds. Ace of diamonds and 7 of clubs. That really was fair that time. Watch. Now I'm going to show you a trick with the 7 of clubs. I'm going to slowly and fairly tear this 7 in 2 right there in the center. Slowly and fairly. Watch. Now obviously that leaves the 2 pieces of the torn 7. I'm just going to use this piece here. Before I tore the card into halves, Now I'm going to tear the card into quarters. Now this is your last chance. Into quarters. Your last chance. Watch. The Miser's Miracle. I wonder what a magician does when he makes a mistake. Here, you take a card and I'll show you. Remember your card. Now, if I were to put your card back here in the center of the deck, and then if I very carefully squared the cards like this, now, if I said, here is your card, I'll put it on the bottom, you'd probably say I was wrong. What was your card? It wasn't the 7 of diamonds, was it? Watch. Then I would very slowly pass my hand over the 7 of diamonds. Right in front of your very eyes, the 7 of diamonds would turn itself into your card, which is indeed the 2 of spades. Now, actually, this wasn't very fair because you didn't know what to expect. You didn't realize that I was simply going to slowly pass my hand over a card, and that card was going to turn into some entirely different card like that. You see, you didn't realize that I was simply going to slowly pass my hand over a card like this, and that card was going to turn into some entirely different card like that. Had you take a card, and if you're like I am, if you put the card back, and if I shuffled even once, if you're like I am, you'd be mixed up in it. You didn't know, had no idea where your card was even supposed to be. I'm not going to do anything like that. You take any card you like, and I'll show you. Put your initials on the face of it. Hold it so I can't see the face. Okay, now put your card any place in the deck you'd like, but not near the top, way down there. Now there's her card. I'll push it into where I couldn't possibly see what it is. I'd say down about 3/4 of the ways from the top. Now I want you to think of any real small number. Make it between 1 and 5, otherwise it's going to take too long. And tell us the number you're thinking of.
4.
You're thinking of 4. Now I think you'll agree that I haven't shuffled the cards, I haven't cut the cards. You take the cards, and what was the name of your card? You remember, it doesn't matter. You put your initial on. No, that's all right. Have you ever heard of telekinesis? It's the mental control of physical objects. I don't believe in anything like that, but I want you to mentally move. Pretend you're mentally moving the card from where you put it yourself to number 4 from the top. Okay, deal 4 cards face up on my hand. We'll see if you succeeded. Is that your card? Mm-hmm. Well, this may sound crazy, but I actually spent part of my time for several years studying safety pins. I find they have peculiar characteristics. In fact, I even wrote an 80-page book on safety pins, things I discovered about them. Now, if I put this pin down with the opening side facing to my right and attempt to put this one down with the opening side in the opposite direction, for some reason which I fail to understand, it flips over. Now, didn't that look like it turned over? Now, you watch. See, if I attempt to put this one down with the opening side over here, I'd swear that that thing turns right over. Now, this is a thing with 3 pins. 1 here, and a chain of 2 here. You see, now watch the pins. 1 here, down here, chain of 2. Now, wouldn't you swear that those pins are solidly linked? Now, naturally enough, if I blow on them like this, they separate. Now, if I were to blow again like this, they would further separate. Now, I put these 2 pins together like this. Now, they are not linked. I hang this pin on there like that. Now, the mere brush of a finger, and that pin links itself not with this pin as it seems, but with this pin down here. Now, naturally enough, the mere flick of a finger, and they again link themselves into a chain of 3. Would you like to see how this is done? Here, you hold this pin in your right hand like that. There we go. I don't need this. Now, by now, I can see you've guessed there has to be a soft spot someplace in the pin or it wouldn't work. Now, you can't see it or feel it in this light, but I know precisely where it is. It's right there. Hold that pin tight. Now, right before your very eyes, that pin has linked itself to the other. Now, being an intelligent human being, you realize that must be an optical illusion. Hold that pin very tight. Actually, this pin here is linked to this pin down here quite solidly. Now, if you'll open the pins and leave them open, I'll show you how it works, and you can just put them down here on the table. Now, the soft spot in... Oh, wait a minute, it was this pin here. It's right there. Of course, you can't see it or feel it. And if I hold this pin like this, it may look like it's closed, but it actually isn't. You see, I can release the staff and it will fly open. So naturally enough, if I line that up with that soft spot right there, now if I release it, it's going to pass right through it. But that isn't what makes the trick so easy. Forget about this soft spot. See, the whole staff of this pin is soft. So if I get it up against some solid object like this pen, now you may be able to hear it when it goes through the pen. Sometimes you can hear it, and sometimes you can't. Watch. Didn't hardly hear it myself that time. Have you ever heard of Uri Geller, the Israeli psychic that says he can bend metal with his mind? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to close these pins, behind my fingers, so that you can't tell whether I've linked them or not, but I want you to be satisfied that they are indeed closed.
Yes.
Now, would you just put your hand flat down on the pins and hold them right down on the table like that? Now, I'm going to pretend to project some real physical force into the pins. No Uri Geller stuff, real physical force. I want you to very gradually relax your hand and tell us if you positively feel a real physical force. That's the linking pins.
Those of you who have seen him are still in for a surprise. Those of you who have seen him 20 times are still amazed. This guy really does something. So you got to really pay attention, and you got to pay close attention too. You got to watch closely, okay? Because he's going to blow your eyeballs out of their sockets. And I mean it. So let's welcome Jerry Andrus. Come on up, Jerry.
Yellow spot on the sheet of plastic. Now it isn't literally perfect, but I call it the illusion. Of the yellow ball. Does that just look solid? Would you drop it in the cone for me, please? You will all recall, first it was flat like that. First it was flat like that. And then it was the illusion. There it is, of the yellow ball. Watch the illusion of the yellow ball. Let me explain what happens. You see, I form this into a cone around my left index finger like this. Now it is empty. Now the only thing I have to be careful about, if that hole gets too large, obviously the ball could get out. I'm going to roll this into a tube instead of a cone. You can see that the ball is still in there. Now if I put one hand over each end of that tube, we all know it is literally impossible for that ball to get out unless it is indeed flat like that. Let me explain what happens. You see, I form this into a cone like this, and we have the perfect illusion. You know, when I was trying to figure out some way to vanish a rubber ball, I thought of having it go up my left sleeve. Obviously, that isn't very practical. I discovered a very simple way to vanish a rubber ball. I discovered zone zero. No one ever thought of it before, apparently. I brought it here to show you. This is zone zero, and whatever goes through that hole into zone zero, it instantly vanishes. Whatever goes through the hole into zone zero, it instantly vanishes. Now, the beautiful part about it, it's sort of like a functional black hole. You can reach right in there and retrieve it. Now, I did research on this, and I discovered that ball doesn't actually vanish when it goes through the hole. It's when I take my hand out that it's gone. I'm talking about totally, completely, absolutely gone, but always instantly. Now, I'm a magician, and if what I do primarily doesn't fool you, then I'm not doing my proper job as a magician. But I'm also a human being, and if I do anything to belittle anybody or make anyone feel foolish, then I'm not doing my proper job as a human being by my standards. So I want to pause and explain to you why I can probably fool you. I can probably fool you because you are the most incredibly wonderful thing that I know of in the universe that exists that I've seen, and that's a human being. And you have an incredibly wonderful human mind like my wonderful human mind. And most of our rote decisions are made beneath the conscious level. For instance, if you see an automobile, you never, ever, ever say to yourself, I wonder what that is. This thing inside that knows how the world works tells you it's an automobile, and you must accept it. And also, we constantly fill in the other side of everything. We must. We work with little tiny clues sometimes. For instance, if I saw my car parked in profile, how do I know that they haven't cut it in two longitude and hauled off the other half? See, I must accept that it's there, otherwise I couldn't function. And also, when we're fooled, most of the time our mind has absolutely not made a mistake. We came to the wrong conclusion, but we came to it for the right reason. And if you haven't seen this, it'll probably fool every one of you, and you'll immediately agree with me that the reason it fools you is because you're knowledgeable and perceptive. But we don't hate card tricks. Now, if any one of you has said to yourself, hey, I wonder if this is really a deck of cards, or you suppose it's just a transparent block of plexiglass. Now you can say, gosh, I wasn't very perceptive. Such a simple thing fooled me. Well, think what your life would be like had you been able to wonder if that were a block of plexiglass. See, you know the way the world works. I know the way the world works. That's why I've been fooled hundreds of times. I was talking about filling in the other side of everything. Some of you probably filled in something about me that isn't precisely what it seems. I'm 73 years old. I am very farsighted. I do have to wear glasses. But there happens to be no glass in each frame. I have on contacts. And the fact that I fooled myself with these several years ago, that one of the nose things was bent, and I was back in the dressing room there, and I had straightened, made it correct. And I wear bifocals at home. I'm used to wearing bifocals. And I started to put these on to see if that nose piece was all right. And when I got here, I took them off about here, getting ready to start to clean them. And you know what it was? The mirror was dirty. Now, what is this wonderful thing up here supposed to do? It's used to taking care of me. It's used to making all these decisions for me. If I put my glasses on and I can't see clearly, the most logical thing is that the glasses are dirty. You know, I've been working on a perfect trap door in a piece of cloth, and I thought if I got a piece of cloth gaudy enough, you might not be able to detect it. It's right in the center, but you can examine that on both sides if you want. I don't think you'll see it strand out of place. Okay, you take the ball, put it right in the center of the cloth. Now, if there was indeed a trap door in the center of that cloth, I should be able to push the ball down through the trap, like that. And it would indeed be gone. Now, this is a process of molecular osmosis. You see, it hasn't arrived yet. Watch this. Just one lazy. Now, I happen to have a poor memory. It's hard for me to even remember one card. If you're anything like I am, if I had you take a card and I say put it back, and if I shuffle even once, you'd be mixed up in that you'd have no idea where your card is even supposed to be, right? And I'm not going to do anything like that. I'm not going to do or say anything to get you to look over here while I'm secretly doing something here. I'm not going to make any fast motions whatsoever, and I want you to watch every move I make. You take out any card you'd like and show it to them, put your initials on the face of it. And then open, you see the face. Okay, put your card back in the deck. Can you push it like but not near the top? Can you put it down a little more? You understand why. There we go. Fine. I'll push it into where I couldn't possibly see what it is. There's her card down there about 2/3 of the way from the top. Now, I want you to think of any real small number. Make it between 1 and 5, otherwise it's going to take too long. And tell us the number you're thinking of.
2.
You're thinking of number 2. Would everyone agree that I positively haven't shuffled the cards, I haven't cut the cards? You take your card. Have you ever heard of telekinesis? Mental control of physical items. I don't believe in anything like that, but I want to pretend that you have telekinetic power, and I want you to mentally move your card. What was your number again? 2. Mentally move your card up to the number you thought of. Okay, now deal 2 cards face up on my hand, one at a time. We'll see if you succeed. 1. You remember the name of your card? Okay, what was the name of your card? Ace of Spades. Let me show you something I discovered many years ago. Now, you notice notice these aces have other initials, and you understand why. Yeah, would you take the aces and put them all together face down in the center and leave them protruding so you know they're still there? Many, many years ago, I discovered that I could just simply wave my hand over the deck like that, and those aces would physically come up to the top. You want to deal with 4 aces face up on my hand? Now, that looked good, but I could have had 4 other aces with these other initials on top. I didn't, but I could have had. So why don't you? Well, she already has initial 1 ace. Which ace did you initialize? Ace of spades. Tell you what, I did that the easy way. I simply waved my hand over the deck and the ace came top. Now I'm going to do it the hard way. I want you to take the aces and put them in 4 widely separated places in the deck, face up, so there can be no trickery. Leave them protruding. Fine. Now, if the hand were quicker than the eye, which it indeed is not, if I push these aces flush with all the rest of the cards, if I could cut the deck so fast the human eye couldn't see, and transpose the 2 halves, I could get one of your aces to the bottom or top, couldn't I? But if I did that, obviously this bottom card, the 2 of clubs, would change, and the top card, the 7 of spades, would change. Now, she's put those 4 aces face up in the deck in 4 different places. Now, here's what I propose to do. Totally impossible as it sounds. I'm just going to snap my finger like this, and I think you'll all have to agree. Indeed, look, that 7 is still on top. The 2's on the bottom. You take the cards. You deal with 4 top cards face up on my hand, including your ace with your initial.
Whoa.
And you will note that the proper card is on top and the proper card is on the bottom. I tell you, perhaps you'd better initial the other 3 aces. Now don't put them together because okay, while that's drying, let me tell you what I mean by the hand not being quicker than the eye. I'm 73 years old. If I live to be 100, if I practiced every moment from now on, I couldn't learn to move my right hand even an 1/8 of an inch back so fast you couldn't see, not a 1/16 of an inch. The hand is definitely not quicker than the eye. Now we've had all 4 of these aces initialed. I didn't pay any particular attention to that top ace is the ace of heart, diamond. Would you take the cards and could you follow my instructions exactly? Turn the top ace face down on the deck. Now I want you to deal the 4 aces face down in a pile here, the next 4 cards face down in a pile here, and then I will turn them face up. And then you hold on to the deck. Now obviously, if I never cover these cards and get these cards near these cards, there's no way known to man I can switch them. It is impossible. Let me show you what I mean. Just put these on the bottom. Would you deal the next 4 cards face down in the pile? Now I want you to watch every move I make. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think everyone will agree I have never covered these cards. I've never gotten these cards near these cards. She initiated those aces before we started. She dealt every card has been dealt. And it seems absolutely impossible. She can verify the fact. It's over here. And you should verify the fact that those indeed are your aces with your initial.
Yep.
Now, you might say, but now wait a minute, Jerry. You did turn that ace pile face down some way or another. There must have been some monkey business. Again, these are your aces.
Yes.
What I was thinking is if I could take the aces face up like that, if I could take the aces face up like that, and if I could rub on those aces like that and squeeze them down to infinity, then all I'd have to do is reach in my pocket and I could take them out from any place I want. Have you ever wondered what a magician does when he makes a mistake? Take out any card you like and show it to them. Now, if I put your card in the center deck, very carefully square the cards like that. Now, if I say, here's your card, I'll put it on the bottom, you'd probably say I was wrong. What was your card? Wasn't the seven of spades, was it? No, watch. Then I would very slowly pass my hand over the seven of spades, and right in front of your very eyes, it would turn itself into your card. I believe that I could deal any card that he thinks up to any number you think of without you telling me the number? Or him telling me the card?
At this point, I believe almost anything.
Thank you. That's a compliment. I shall try to do just that. If you thought of the seven of spades and she thought of the number 10, and I say, stop me when I come to your number, and when I come to 10, she'd say, stop. There's one chance in 52 it would be your card. To avoid that, take out any card you'd like. Think of a card if you wish, and take it out. And hand me the deck. I'll take the deck. Oops. I didn't see what it was. Now, put your card somewhere in the lower half, and you'll understand why we want it in the lower half. Oops. There we go, fine. I'll push it into where you couldn't see what it is. There's his card. I'd say down there maybe around 40 cards from the top. If I give you a total free choice of 1 to 52, and you think of a number anywhere near 40, that's where his card is. So would you consider it fair if I give you a choice of any number between 10 and 35? Fair enough? Now think of any number between 10 and 35. Once you have the number, don't change your mind. You have the number. Stop me when I come to your numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Would you agree you could have stopped me at 14 or 15 or any card in this deck?
Yeah.
Or what card were you thinking of?
9 of clubs.
9 of clubs? Now, by now, you probably realize that apparently I figured out some way of controlling these cards without the usual shuffles and cuts. Now, let me show you what I mean. You take any card. Now, if you didn't have your initial on, the next time you see that card, you'd say, Jerry, that could not possibly be the same card. So put your initial on the face of it. Okay, now we can all agree there is no other card on earth like this. Now watch where I put your card. Right there in the center of the deck, and I want you to watch when I pushed it in. Doesn't that look eminently fair? Could you conceive of any possible way your card would be on top? It doesn't look possible, does it? It doesn't look possible. Would you put your hand on the table, palm up? I'm going to drop the deck, and I swear, let's move over here. Drop the deck, and I swear your card will be on top when it lands. Your card with your initial, you can turn over the top card and verify it. Here we go.
You may be wondering why you're going to see a magician on a science show. Magic and science would appear to have very little in common. The magician tries to fool us by distorting the truth, and the scientist seeks to educate us by discovering the truth. There is one place, however, where the two come together and are compatible, and that place is the human mind, where all perceptions meet as equals. For the most part, magic is a game, a way of entertaining, amusing people, but magic is a game which takes place on the broad frontiers of psychology and perception, and offers us additional insights into the study of how human beings see, or think they see, the world around them, or what they believe to be the world around them.
I'd like to show you what I call the perfect illusion. It's this yellow spot on this sheet of plastic. Now, it is not literally perfect. I call it the illusion.
of the yellow ball. Now you will recall that first it was flat like that, and then it was the illusion. There it is, of the yellow ball. You've heard of acupuncture. Well, this is acupressure. Some people believe if you push here, it's for a certain thing, or you push here. I don't believe in it. But look, I've discovered that if I push right here for 3 seconds, this is a treatment for anemia. Now, in anemia, you lack iron. This is far, far better because you get solid steel. Solid steel.
Jerry Andrus lives far off the beaten track here in Albany, Oregon. He's one of the best sleight of hand artists in the world. But more than that, he seems to be leading magic into the future in his own inimitable fashion.
Welcome to the Castle of Chaos, birthplace of dreams. My name is Jerry Andrus. Come enter my world.
When you enter the world of Jerry Andrus, you're really entering the mind of an extraordinary inventor, philosopher, teacher, and, above all, a student of human perception. And you never know what he'll come up with next.
I call this the curious cube. Here's why. Look, if I slowly hinge this panel over from this side to this side, it seems to go through some weird dimension, like it's going through the fourth dimension. Watch. If I hinge this panel up from this side to this side, this is the curious cube, and I'll explain shortly why it's a curious cube.
Leaving you to ponder this assault on your senses, Andrus moves on to more traditional magic. Now he explains the mystery of a curious cube by simply turning it around. An Andrus illusion like this one makes you question your own eyesight.
I want you to keep staring right at the center of the trizonal space warper as it turns. Keep looking right at the center. It doesn't matter whether your eyes are in or out of focus. You look at that for 20 or 30 seconds and your vision is disturbed, as if space itself was being warped.
The center of the picture is absolutely still, but we see it shimmering and rippling in our minds.
From the proper place, the curious crate looks impossible, absolutely, because you see the board, the two before is in front and then behind at the same time, and there's just no way that your mind can accept this unless they were bent or something, which they of course are not. But it has to be photographed or seen from precisely that point for it to look properly. In fact, if you walk up to it, it looks, well, you might say either semi-insane or absolutely insane. It looks nothing at all close up like it does from the proper distance and the proper place.
An Andrus illusion gives our minds visual clues, which may or may not lead us to the wrong conclusions. In this case, the clues tell us that we're looking at a crate. But the more we look, the more we realize that this is an impossible crate, as crates go.
Each one of these things has what is loosely called an electric eye in it, and the way these lights are flashing control different functions of the organ. I did this by experimenting. I don't have a wide knowledge of electronics at all. And some of these things, I built them, you might say, from scratch, bent the metal, planned the whole thing. I made printed circuit boards inside. These are different things that amplifies to give different real strange sounds. There's a spotlight shining back there that throws a wah-wah. This is what I call a paradox box, and I'll show you what it is. It's a negative box, actually, I call it. And I'm going to put this little panel in the corner of the negative box. If I add something to a negative box, it would actually seem to take something away. So now it looks like I have cut off the corner of the box and built the corner in. I'll turn the box so you can get a better view of it. Now, if I punch a hole in there, now there's a hole in the cutout corner that's built in. I'm going to put a tube in the hole. You see, if I turn the box, the negative box, paradox box, back and forth, it looks like the tube is turning, sticking out of that hole like a gun turret. Now let me show you what the paradox box actually is. Look, it is simply a cardboard box. And this is the outside of the cardboard box, and I've painted the inside of the cardboard box so that it looks like the outside of a box.
Once again, Jerry Andrus has challenged our perceptions and won. His inquiring mind helps us to relate the arts of magic and illusion to science and the future. In fact, contemporary theories of how the human mind works are just now beginning to agree with the ideas that Jerry Andrus had 10 years ago.
You know, it has been said to me that a man's work is a reflection of a man's mind. Well, if you look at this work, it is a pretty good reflection of my mind. I have ideas impinging on me all the time about magic and philosophy and music and
Magic, a way of looking at the world which plays havoc with our senses and gives us a whole new perspective on the nature of reality. Stay tuned. I may or may not reappear.
Inside these walls lie devices of another dimension. Here you'll discover the mystery of the paradox box, these magic nuts, or the gravity-defying skyscraper. Are your eyes deceiving you? Yes. But that's normal at the Castle of Chaos. A place where even the best magicians come to learn new secrets.
I guess David Copperfield thought enough of him to stop by here last time he was in Oregon.
And now I'm about to meet the creator and curator of the Castle of Chaos.
Hello.
Hey, Jerry. Can't wait. Before I learn more about Jerry Andrus, I must first see the world-famous optical illusions he's created. We'll start with the paradox box.
Lowell, for this next optical illusion, the paradox box, you need to step back there and hold your hand over one eye.
Since our camera lens, in effect, has only one eye, you at home don't have to cover an eye. Now, this paradox box should appear to you as a normal box. If it doesn't, don't worry. Jerry says there are a few people these optical illusions don't work on. Now, Jerry adds a piece to the box to make it appear to have a flat edge. Now he adds a rod and swings it. At this point, Jerry reveals this is no ordinary box.
You might say, now I'm going to show you what you're actually looking at is not a, you're actually looking at the inside. I've painted on the inside of this thing so it looks like the outside of a box.
A similar illusion comes from these magic nuts.
I have a straight tube here. I'm going to push this tube through this nut.
As I watch, it appears the tube bends to go through the other hole.
I'll show you what we have. Again, you're just looking at the inside of this thing.
Jerry applies these same principles to this truck. Which direction is the point facing? If you said towards you, that's how it's supposed to look. But the point is actually facing away from you. Has Jerry defied gravity? Well...
And actually, look, it is just that you're seeing the inside of something. It's not, and it's actually, that ball is rolling downhill. This thing is not standing up at all. So when the ball rolls from here to there, it's rolling downhill.
Perhaps before we see more, it's time to learn about the proprietor of the Castle of Chaos. Jerry has lived in his castle since he was 9 years old, and he says he's been creating illusions and inventions a good portion of his life.
Well, I think partially a natural curiosity, and I'm 76 and it's getting greater all the time, so I'm curious about things.
Jerry's natural curiosity has prompted him to create things like this suspended vacuum.
There really was no place for it down here, and there's a long hose here that comes down, and I turn it on over there, and I can reach all around in the room with it.
How do you change the bag in it?
Well, you do that with a stepladder.
There are movable walls. Need a tape recorder? Just suspend it till you need it. And how does Jerry keep track of everything?
I carry a tape recorder with me all the time. It's fixed so that I've retrofitted it, so I push that and it records the lead up and it stops, and I have Velcro in my pocket and I put it in my pocket, normally like that, and carry it. And when I think of an idea, just push it and record.
And when Jerry's creating at home, he simply turns on his treadmill to get a good workout as he conjures up new notions. He's modified his personal PC with rods and things to accommodate his unique work style.
Watch the illusion of the yellow ball. Let me explain what happens. You see, I formed this into a cone.
In addition to creating optical illusions, Jerry also invented his own magic tricks, which he has performed coast to coast, as well as in
The
Europe.
hole gets too large, the ball can get out. Now let me explain what happens. You see, I form this into a cone like this, and we have the perfect illusion of the yellow ball.
Now, we've done no special editing or TV effects. This is all Jerry.
I discovered a very simple way to vanish a rubber ball. I discovered zone zero. Whatever goes through the hole into zone zero, it vanishes. It's sort of like a functional black hole. But I can reach right in there and retrieve it, you see.
Now just keep your eyes focused on your TV. This will not hypnotize you. While you stare, I'll explain. Jerry calls this his transzonal space warper. After you stare at it for 20 seconds or more, the next thing you look at will appear to change shape and size. In a second, we're going to place a picture on your screen. As soon as it comes on, stare at the clouds. The picture is perfectly still. We've added no special effects. Now look at the clouds. Jerry has traveled the world showing his creations. The best-known magicians have come to partake of his optical and magical masterpieces. Now finally, I'm about to witness Jerry's most impressive trick, one that cannot be contained in the Castle of Chaos. It's kept in the backyard.
This is Jerry's Box Impossible. It looks just like an ordinary crate, doesn't it? But watch as I step into the crate, through the planks, and into the corner. The Impossible is really just another one of Jerry's optical illusions, and we're going to show you how it's done. Incredible, isn't it?